Jamie, what did we hear on the last day of the trial?
Catherine, Ben Robert-Smith's barrister Arthur Moses ended his closing address yesterday with a very similar argument to what we heard from that legal team 13 months ago. Mr Moses said this is a case about corrosive jealousy in the SAS, cowardice from people who made allegations in the dark, and lies and rumours that were published by journalists. These newspaper stories contained what Ben Robert-Smith argued were false allegations of war crimes, bullying and domestic violence. But the publisher Nine Entertainment defended them as true, and in the course of their defence they accused Ben Robert-Smith of being complicit in 6 separate murders in Afghanistan, all of which he denied. Now yesterday Mr Moses told the court that it was crystal clear on the evidence that Mr Robert-Smith's Victoria Cross led to a war of words from jealous and bitter people. He said those people pushed false stories to 2 journalists in particular, who in turn jumped on rumours, in Mr Moses' words, like salmon jumping on a hook, and published fiction when it was presented as fact. Mr Moses also urged the judge to reject Nine's truth defence and said that key witnesses for the publisher had been exposed as perjurers. There were attacks on the credit of witnesses from both sides, though. Last week we heard a closing address from Nine's barrister who said Mr Robert-Smith had shown himself as somebody prepared to lie under oath and accused him of colluding with some of his witnesses. Nicholas Owens SC, Nine's barrister, also said that a lot of the veterans' witnesses were closely associated with one another and bound by things like the strong ties of friendship and business interests. So there certainly were a lot of allegations being thrown around on both sides.
Jamie, this was such a long trial, so much evidence to go through. Do we have any idea when there'll be a decision?
Well, Justice Anthony Basanko, the judge who oversaw this trial, he certainly has an enormous amount of evidence to consider now over these last 13 months. There were about 110 days of hearings in the federal court. And yesterday when he reserved his decision, he didn't give an indication of how long he'll take, which is not unusual in this circumstance. But what he'll do before the major decision is give rulings and reasons about some key legal decisions that he made earlier this year. One of the most extraordinary things about this trial was seeing current and former SAS soldiers give evidence. And when some of those witnesses were giving their evidence, they objected to answering questions, which then presented the judge with the question of whether to compel those witnesses to testify on some key missions in Afghanistan. In 3 instances, the judge decided not to compel witnesses to give evidence. So he'll publish some reasons for those decisions, which will make for some pretty interesting reading. But overall, the big decision that we're waiting for is probably likely to be months away.
OK, Jamie McKinnell, thank you so much for joining us this morning.